Well, hello everyone, and this is a fabulous ride in the Heddon Valley, which is part of Exmoor's area of outstanding natural beauty. Fantastic views in much of it. You can see here we're in Exmoor. That big green patch is Exmoor, and we're just in the left hand corner. We're going to start on the A39, go down to Paracoombe and Trentice Hoe, and then back up. This is our Linton and Lynmouth. Wonderful place to be at the Valley of the Rocks. Then we're going to head across to the Hunters Inn, and that is really steep, extremely dangerous, so just make sure that you don't overstep your speed. And then you have to climb up, which was almost impossible on a tandem, up to Trentice Hoe, and then from there on we've got quite an easy ride round to Stony Corner and back. So here we go, down through Paracoombe, now heading down towards Linton and Lynmouth, then along the coast over Lee Valley, or Lee Bay it is, and then we drop down into Hunters Inn and then back up. Very steep that first bit, and then we're pretty much on the top and back home. So not too bad a journey, 20 miles, but as you can see about 700 meters of climb. So here we go, we're just leaving from our campsite, and now Kamut wanted to take us right through this shortcut, but it was actually into a field, and there was a big gate right the way across the road, so we had to turn around and come back again. And now we take the main road that goes down, so we follow this off. Now be very careful, because it suddenly at this point just up here starts to drop down, and it drops at quite a prodigious rate, and you can, if you're not careful, find yourself screaming at high speed into the town. So we just left the 39, now we're going down, and it's really steep. So here it says it's got a 20 mile an hour zone. So we get down to the bottom, and then we're heading our way back up now. It's really steep, that bit, and we found that quite difficult. It's about 20% again on a tandem is about your limit of what you can manage. We find 16, but there are plenty of other climbs coming up further along. So here we are ascending, and we're now going to rejoin the A39. So we're just going to turn left when we get up to this junction here, and now we're heading towards Linton and Hunters Inn, which are marked on the signpost, and pretty much this will take us most of the way there. We just want to make sure we bear very, very gradually left when we start descending down towards the river. So the Lynn River is almost parallel with us at the moment, but we're going to come over the top of that first hill, and you can see on our chart that it's pretty flat. There's a bit of it up and down, but now we're starting this long descent, which is heading down towards Linton. So now we're starting to descend. There's a few more bits of up just every now and then, but generally this is going to be down, and it is quite fast, and it really depends on the time of the year. We're here right at the beginning of February. It's really cold, but the traffic isn't too bad, but it is really steep and it can go on, so you can pick up quite a speed here. And we want to just head left just here. When you start seeing the petrol station, start moving left, and that will take you then in towards Linton and get you off the 39. A little bit of a climb here last minute, and then once we get to the top of this bit, which is just a small peak, and then we're going to descend again. But the wildflowers are just beginning to emerge in all the banks and the hedgerows, so it was really nice to see all the primulas and wood anemone and other things, such things starting up. So we're now going to start descending now quite rapidly towards Linton, and here we are, we get into the town, and now we need to follow our way along almost parallel with the sea. There we can see Valley of Rocks appearing, worth a stop there, but we're going to carry on to Lee Abbey, which is a conference centre. So we go over here. You'll find that there's lots of goats absolutely everywhere, which is interesting to see. But here we are at Lee Abbey, and they've got a restaurant, they've got cafe, toilets, and we're just going to take a quick stop as we descend down. Here we are, we can see the conference centre here, beautiful white building, fantastic. That's their own bay that they've got there. But as we descend down, just be a little bit careful here, and they've got some toilets, worth stopping there, and I think you can top up with water as well. We're now going to start ascending out the other side. Now this is pretty steep, but you don't know the half of it till later, but you can see nice views as we ascend. Now it was a little bit slippery in the centre as well, so you do need to be a bit careful there. But as we ascend up, it's not a very busy road at all. There are all sorts of sticks and occasionally bits of branch across the road, but we're going pretty steep. But you can see the views again are stunning. You can see why this is an area of outstanding natural beauty, because you can see for miles, and if you're really careful you can actually see Port Talbot in Wales on the other side. So that's where we're going to be heading. So now we continue to ascend. As you saw, we were passed by a motorbike just then, but not very much traffic at all, and it's a little bit potholed, so do watch out. Although this is an all-road route, I would recommend having wider tyres, certainly gravel type tyres on the outside, because it can get, well, you're going to lose traction at some points. So here we are now, we've just come over and we're starting to descend again, and there's now got a mixture of descent and ascent as we do a little bit of bobbing up and down. So we work our way along the top there, and then we're going to start heading towards that final drop down into the Heddon Valley. So a little bit more up and down here, the last little bit, and then we start to get along the top. Here is a last remnant of level, but you do get fantastic views if you can see through the trees, and that's the advantage of going over winter as we did. So we're ascending here, great views back again, and now we need to start to drop down. It was quite slow for us. So we get up to this car park here, which is pointing to Martinhoe, which is a bit further back along the level plain. And now we're screaming down this very, very dangerous steep bank, occasionally 25%. But overall it's about 16%, and it's brutally fast. And then we get to the Hunter's Inn at the bottom. Now this is a great place to stop, and I would recommend stopping here, finding a rest, because you're going to have a really brutal climb when you get back out the other end. So this, we found the place hits 25%, and although we got started fairly easily, we had to find, we just taken a right turn there, and we got up this bit and we were losing traction on the back wheel of the tandem. So if you've got solos you can probably manage it, but we found this was really quite tough, so we lost traction a couple of times and my wife got off, and then I was able to cycle a little bit further on my own, but then the back wheel started to break away again, so it was a matter after that of pushing towards the top. I couldn't get enough grip to get started, so we pushed up to the very top of the hill, this first bit of hill, and then once it eased off a bit and we were able to get some traction, we then climbed back on. So we get up to these cottages, and we thought, well, that we should be able to get up for the rest of it, and then you get round this corner, and just up here there's a sort of hint of a church, and it's absolutely vicious, easily 25%, and we reckon between 16 and 20% is about the maximum that we can cope with as part of a ride without having to occasionally get off or keep stopping. So this was quite brutal, but you can see from this the chart there that once you make it towards the top, then it's pretty straightforward. So we're now almost at the top of the valley, and there's now just your normal regular ups and downs, and it's a fairly straightforward journey from here onwards. So you can see one of the problems you get with doing it in the winter is although it helps the views, is that the sun goes down quite quickly. So we stop here at the little junction here. Now we're really along the sea road where you've got the views of the sea. It's fairly level. You can see we've got a bit of uphill here, but generally it's not bad. But as I was saying, the problem is that the sun is going down all the time from about 2:30 in the afternoon. So we did have to be a little bit careful because of the angles here. I think it's a good time of year to do it because you get the sea views, but the disadvantage is the day is quite short, and so although 20 miles doesn't seem very far, it's actually a really good run. So we're now on the level, and it's now just a mixture of ups and downs, but generally a little bit of descent here. Work our way along, and there are a couple of turns. So that was a normal turn in the road that we've got there, but just coming up we need to be ready to take a sweep left, and in fact the road appears to go straight in our direction, and the main road actually veers off to the right. You can see by the angle of the trees here that it's really windy, so watch out for side winds. And you can see there's grass in the middle of the road, so do be careful. And then we're going to come down, we're going to descend really rapidly, and there's some white cottages, and we turn right here, and now we've got another one of those steep ascents, and it was so slippery again we were losing traction. It wasn't quite icy, but it was extremely wet, so we had to keep stopping and picking up bits and pieces. But now we start to ascend towards the top, get back into the sunlight and the daylight, which is really what we'd been hoping for all along, because the temperature was only about 4 or 5 degrees Celsius and it was getting quite cold in the shadows. So we work our way through, and then we turn left, and now we're on main roads. So we've got the benefit of good quality roads and not too steep, but on the other hand we've got the disadvantage of traffic, which wasn't in the main too bad, but it can catch you out at times, particularly if there's some of the bigger lorries that we've got. So now it's just simply a matter of working our way through and heading our way back home, rejoining the 39. Again, it's windy at the top here, and the junction that's just coming up on our left was that first junction that we had when Komoot tried to take us through a field. So here it is, just there. There's the field entrance, and our lay-by was just up here on the right. So thank you for following us. We had a fantastic evening then. When we got back to our campsite, you can see that there was wonderful sunsets, and it's another great thing about that district, that area, is you get all types of weather and all types of conditions in any day. So thank you for joining us. What we're going to do is just show you the page that we've got on Komoot, and you can see there's 660 metres of climb and descent. It took us, in terms of travelling time, about just under 3 hours, and it was about 34 kilometres, so just over 20 miles. But you can see there's a GPX file that you can download, and this video will then be available as well. So if you need further details, go and check out the links below, and we look forward to seeing you on the next ride, which I think is our final one in Exmoor. Okay, thank you very much for joining us. Take care and see you in the next ride.